Life's filled with things we don't like. If we focus on those things, then we feel bad. Life is filled with a lot of wonderful things. When we focus on those things, we feel good. And that's how you reprogram your life and create something totally new.
Christy Whitman is a transformational leader, a spiritual mentor who teaches quantum energy mastery and has helped millions align with their divine design.
We each have a stadium of light. And for every one of us, we have thousands of beings available to us to be our guide.
How do you tap into this unparalleled confidence?
It's been years of understanding that whatever that state that I want to feel or be in, that's available to me now. And I can put myself in it by practicing being aligned with it.
Can you talk about the council?
Consider them high beings of light I can just tap into and bring through anytime I want. Having that connection, and I've created millions of dollars.
Is there anything you recommend for accessing the heightened intuition?
The very first thing you got to do is...
So thank you again for being here.
I'm delighted to be with you. Hi, Hilary. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
So, you know, what's interesting is that as we have gotten to know each other and I hear more and more about you, your confidence is something that is unmatched by I can't even think, maybe like I have 3 friends that are in your level of this highest level of confidence, and it's how you deliver yourself. It's you being on stage that I've seen. And I got to ask you, from your perspective, every woman has that.
Made me cry.
Yeah, well, gosh, I'm like, it really is. It's an incredible,
Wow.
incredible gift. And you have had moments in time where you've had to go deep and miraculous things have happened. And I want to hear, we've already discussed, you got to go back and listen, you know, for those that haven't heard her main story, number 48 episode. But for you right now, how do you tap into this unparalleled confidence? And how do you continue to go out there and talk about topics that for many are like sometimes downright uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I'm guided. I'm just on purpose. And I think there's a confidence because I know that light is guiding me and has been, and that's just my true north. You know, even in those times when I feel unsure, and there are those times, or I feel afraid, or I'm doubting, or I'm like, you know, do I do this or do that? You know, which 2 cool opportunities, which do I do? You know, even being abundant, right? You could have 2 different things you need to do, and how do you make those decisions, right? And that can even create. So it's really getting back into that flow and knowing that, you know, my soul's all around me, and that, you know, whenever I need a dose of compassion because I'm feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do, I can ask for that compassion and feel that compassion. So it's been years of understanding that we all have this resource available to us. It's free, it's unlimited, it's infinite, it's always with us, and it's energy. And when we know it's there and it's pure potential, and if it's available, and I think about it, whether it's abundance or success or prosperity or love, or, you know, personal fulfillment, whatever that state that I want to feel or be in, that's available to me now. And I can put myself in it by practicing being aligned with it, you know, because there's a sound that's different when you hear a key on a piano, right? That's a high sound versus a low sound. Like there's a difference between different keys, and we can hear that, right? But we could feel the energy, right? It was really interesting. I don't candy coat stuff, so I'm just going to share. This literally happened last night or yesterday with my son. He was 16 years old, and you know, I could be in a really, really high vibe space, and then he comes in the room and he's like, you know, his energy just like,
Yeah.
And so yesterday, you know, we were walking the dog, my husband and I were coming in, we just had a really amazing connected conversation. It's beautiful outside. I mean, we're just like, you know, happy. And I come in, I'm like, you know, and he's like, whoa, mom, you really have to like lower your vibration because you are just way over the top. And I looked at him and I go, no, son, this is a happy zone. This is a high vibe place. So if you want to be in a place where you're requiring somebody else to be different than they are, you might want to go into your own cave and be how you want to be there. But don't ask me to be different than I am, because this is a happy zone, right?
Oh, God, I love you. This is so good. And everybody out there has some person that wants to, you know, rain on their parade, bring them down, pull them off of their, you know, pull them out of their happy dance. Okay, so let's keep going with this energy. And thank you for talking about your son, because I have 5 kids. So there's always somebody that is, you know, having kind of an off time. And I am one of those as well, that I'm like, you know what? No, I am here to support you. I'm here to help you. I love you, but I don't need to come down to your level just to understand where you are operating from. Don't need to do that.
So it doesn't help anybody to do that.
Doesn't. And it really, actually, I think it hurts me.
Yeah.
It hurts me if I have to feel like I'm not being in alignment with myself. It does.
Agreed.
It's just, and I'm not saying I'm going to be like smiling and, you know, doing all that, but there's something here that I want to ask you about around energy, around what I call 3HQ, the head, the heart, the highest self. Highest self is that best version of you. It's where your wise woman hangs out. You have a gift. And the gift is that we all do, but yours is like highly in tuned. And you had, and I'll never forget this. And we didn't even discuss this before coming on here, but when you were on episode number 48, we talked right before, I think a day or two before, and you were going through some business shifts that were like big,
huge. Yeah.
Big. And energetically, you were sharing things that were coming through you intuitively, that were literally guiding you, that were telling you like burn the boats, right? You were going on to the beach, burn those boats. You're never going back. Can you, from this energy, this high level of energy, can you talk about the council? Can you talk about your wise, what I call the wise woman, but you've got something, energetically it's similar, but you call it something very different and you use it very differently as well.
Yeah, so I call it the Council of Light, and they are a group of, you can consider them high beings of light. It's just a collection of think of it as like a reservoir of just really high energy that I can just tap into and bring through anytime I want. And so if I'm wanting to feel a different state, I can tap into them. But what has happened over the years in doing this practice, and this happens, and I see this with clients a lot because I help people open up to their intuition, and the way you do that is by releasing the limitations and the imprints. Because if you have limitations and if you have old perspectives and old beliefs that just don't support who you are or who you want to become, right? It's like that doesn't allow you to connect with that intuition. It's like, think of it as like a pipe, right? It's like it's clogging up the pipe. You got to roto-rooter it, right? To get all that stuff out so that you have that flow of connection to infinite guidance. And that's really who they are. And I've been hearing them for a long time because my very first book, and I think I shared that on that one first episode, my first book came through me, and there was a voice talking to me, and it was a clear voice. It was direct. It was not mine. And I was clear it was not mine because I was like, hey, that's a good idea. I got to get up and write that.
But Christy, when did this voice come in?
In 1999.
And how did it come in? Was it in the middle of the night?
Middle of the night, 1:05 in the morning. I was woken up.
Mine's 3:33. Mine's 3:33 every night. I'm like, what? I get woken up, and there is this and at first I thought I was nuts. Literally, I thought I was crazy. What? And all these great ideas, and I'm like, okay, shh. I just want to go back to sleep. Shh. And now I'm like, keep going. Let me go. So you had, I want to go back to 1999, and you have this middle of the night experience
Yeah.
and what really happens?
So I'm like hearing a voice, and I'm listening to it. Like you, initially, I was like, "Go away! I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
sleep. Leave me
Yeah.
alone!" Right? But I started listening to it, and I had to get up because what I was hearing was just so profound. So I went into my office and got a pen and a pad of paper and just started writing. And what was remarkable is that my hand just became like not mine anymore. So the hand just started, going. One hand was switching the page, the other was going. It was just, and I'm kind of watching my own hands do this.
It's like that unconscious journaling, like,
Right.
hold on, what is happening here?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that was happening. And so that happened 7 nights in a row. And so that was the first, and it was clear that the image they gave me was it's a book. And so I was clear as I was having this happen that there was a book being written, which I
Mhm.
had no idea what, writing a book would open up and, what would be on the other side of that. So yeah, they're on, what was it, 2000, what you were talking about is 2018, they came in first person. So a lot of people might think of what I do as channeling, right? Or
Mhm.
being a direct guide.
Mhm.
There's a lot of channelers that have done it for years that are very well known, like Esther Hicks and Sheila Gillette, and people like that, that they bring in a different consciousness to help somebody else either be able to connect with someone on the other side, or heal something while they're in the physical body, or learn something new, or just gain a different
Mhm.
perspective. Because I'll tell you, having that connection and that openness, I've written courses. I've created millions of dollars. I've created incredible, deep
Mhm.
friendships. Um, created a life that is just almost like pinch me. Am I in it? Like, is this real? Is this actually happening? And it doesn't mean, and that's what my book, The Flow Factor, is all about, is it doesn't mean that even though I'm following a path of light and I am doing work that is in service, and I also make a profit, it doesn't mean that I don't have contrast. We all
Okay,
have.
but before you go into that, I
Yeah.
have to say something.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people out there writing a book right now. My producer, who's on this right now in the background, she is, and I am too. And we're writing these books, and you're telling us that in 7 days, did the book pretty much you wrote the book in the 7 days because all of the information came for those. And it's funny, I can't call it on demand yet.
Oh, it's
It
fun.
comes to me in divine timing. So, is there anything that you recommend for accessing the kind of heightened, you said intuition is something we all have. You said that at the beginning. Is there a way? I know you do a lot of amazing courses and teaching, but what do you say to somebody who's like, gosh, I'd like to have that gift of, it's being downloaded in the middle of the night, 7 days in a row, and boom, I got this, New York Times best-selling book on my hands.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been in the middle of the ocean, 3 o'clock in the morning, twice that happened, and two different books came out. And yeah, it's just incredible. I would say the very first thing you got to do is you got to start meditating, because meditation, whether it's quiet time for 15 minutes, you don't have to become a guru. You don't have to go live in a cave. You don't have to meditate 3 hours a day. Who's got time for that? If you're a modern woman that likes fashion and succeeding, and you have a family and you've got kids and you've got activities and you've got friends, I mean, 15 minutes a day is all you need, but do it consistently. And then you're going to see some really, really amazing benefits, because that quiet time to turn the attention from the to-do lists and all the things and the requirements and the responsibilities and all the blah, all the stuff that's out there making everybody else happy. You turn all your attention inward to that part of you that loves you infinitely, that is there for you, that can restore you, can revitalize you. It becomes like how do I, like, my best friend's always with me.
What a great way to say it. And there's a
That just, oh,
simpleness,
yeah, got
right?
teared up for that one.
Yeah, there's a simpleness that's associated with meditation. And I have been only really, and I can say recently, have really embraced my practice. Like, really, it used to be a little bit like, yeah, I know the benefits logically. Yeah. And I did feel the benefits physically and in real life, things were happening. And then you know what? It's funny. We
Life.
can consciously know, but my gosh, until it's really the time and that you're okay with learning this and a new habit creation and all that. And you know who? One of our mutual dear friends, Deborah Poneman, uh, taught me just recently about a really great practice, and I've been doing it. And I have to say, it's remember I said I'm trying. I want to tap it on demand, right? I want to be
Yeah.
able to, like, come on, I can do energy on demand. Why can't I do my, calling in these incredibly wise people on demand? And
Well,
I'm getting there.
You just did, because the first thing in anything is asking for it, and just intending for it. And I have to tell you, for me, my very first teachers were channelers. That's who I learned from. I
Yeah,
mean, I got thrown in. It was like, put her in the
yeah,
hot boiling water. It was like,
yeah.
it was baptism by fire, because it felt like truth to me. It felt
Mm.
more real than any coach or any person that I had met up to that point. And it was like, it was the energy that I really wanted and needed. And that was shifting me. And it changed. I mean, it just fully changed me, but it was through meditation. My meditation teacher wouldn't teach me meditation until I learned how to go do meditation. Like,
Yeah,
and the
that's good.
meditation teacher that she
Yeah.
told me to go to was a healer that actually opened up my healing ability, and had this Christ energy coming through me. And the girl
Mm,
I'm working on, she's like, oh, it's like Jesus Christ is present. And I was like,
mm.
oh, hell no. I was raised Catholic. So I was like, oh, hell no. I know. I was like, shut it all down. No, you know, I was like, no, 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 that's not happening. But as I learned, and as I grew, and as I started meditating, and as I started having my own inklings and intuition, and I would follow it,
Yeah.
and it would turn out well, and I would hear something and I would say, I'm not doing that, and it wouldn't turn out well. Having those type of moments. There was a moment when I had my own like huge event. It was in the middle of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, and I had a quantum success in business event where we would have hundreds of people come, and we would have hundreds of people back then on live stream. And
Mhm.
it was just incredibly leading edge, cutting edge technology, and to be able to do what we were doing. But I remember I still do, I put every ounce of everything I have into a program or into a course. And so it was like 6 months that I was rehearsing this, and who is going to come on my stage, and where will we do this, and what's the music, what's the process. And we're having a dance night where we talked about that. You come as your future self, right? So what does that look
Right.
like? The whole thing. So this whole big event, I remember getting on the stage and feeling like, oh, I have Esther envy, because Esther Hicks gets on the stage. She goes, hi, bye. And then Abraham comes in, right? And so she's
Right, right,
set. She
right.
doesn't have to do any of that. And so it was like yes, it was envy, but it was also God, that'd be great to do that. And then it happened. So just by saying, I would love to do that. I would love to experience that. That's the first step. That's the opening, is that your own willingness, because you have free will, is your own willingness to experience something, do something, change something, be aware of something. That's the first step. So you're already on your way.
You know what? I 100% agree with what you're saying, because I noticed that I had a near death experience when I was 2. And so I've kind of been pushing things aside. Like, I don't know why I'm like this, but I am, but this is too weird. This seems too crazy. I'm not, and in the last probably 5, 10 years, I've kind of embraced this, and I've really actively wanted to go into understanding more about it, like leveraging it, like really. And one of the things that I found is that I said, what if I surrounded myself with more people that had these gifts, this ability to go into the channeling and being able to kind of have a little bit more depth with intuition and all that. And oh my God, I asked and I got it.
Cool.
The floodgates opened, and it's so interesting. And I want to talk about when you called in, or when you asked to have, the council, this group. And I love that you said it was like channeling through them. How many are there? Because what I usually find is that I hear one voice. I'm not hearing multiple. It's not like I have a grand council, a big, knights of the round table. It's, which I really would like to. Hey, I'm gonna throw that one in. All right, I'm calling in all you others.
Well, as the council says, we each have a stadium of light. And so imagine, we got the Super Bowl, right, coming up, and you've got, when you think about football, hockey, baseball, but, you've got stadiums, right? Or you could think of like a, Grand Ole Opry or some kind of grand stage. We're the one on the stage. We're the one at that 50-yard line. We're the one playing the game. We're the one performing, if you think of it that way. We're the one that's on the leading edge. And for every one of us that's on the leading edge, we have hundreds of thousands of beings available to us to be our guide, to direct us, to inform us, to fill us, to, so many different. And it's like, think of yourself as that person on that stage, and every single seat and every single row and every single section is filled with guides, masters, beings of light, angels, there to support you. Like, they're cheering you on and going, yeah, go Hilary, go Hilary. It's like, we're here for you. What do you need? How can I serve? And that, just knowing that, it's like, wow, and just being able to feel that energy of that level of support, it's
remarkable. Like, it literally just sent chills down my body. That's such a great, imagery of how to do that. And one of the things that you came up with, and I believe the Channel Council came through, or is it just the council? The council,
yeah,
came through for your last book, The Flow Factor. Why did you need to write that book?
Because I was already teaching it to people in my community, and it needed a bigger platform, if that makes sense. And there's some people that love to take courses. There's other people that just love to read books, right? And also, when I launch a book, when I don't do something, like, I've never been able to just launch a book and go, okay, I got a book out, and I want to give that book wings. So it's like, I go on podcasts, I do whatever I need to do to make sure that people know about this book and can read this book, because the information is life-changing. It's like understanding that there's going to be contrast, right? The thing for me is that I grew up with a family that expected perfectionism and were surprised when there was ever any contrast or problems. And, it's like, life's filled with things we don't want to do, or, things that might stress us or we don't like. But if we focus on those things, then we feel bad. But because the other polar opposite of that is that life is filled with a lot of really wonderful things. And when we focus on those things, we feel good. And we have that choice. We have free will and choice. And so at the basis, right, just even choosing the words that we speak, we have that power. And understanding that something may happen that was unexpected, and maybe something that we didn't prefer, didn't like. I mean, your life could be absolutely perfect, but you still will have contrasting experiences, such as your cat could pass, your dog could pass, someone you love can pass. Something could be coming to an end of a cycle and complete itself, and you're rebirthing or relaunching yourself.
Relaunching, you got it.
Right? And in that space, you get to choose, what energy am I bringing into this? You know, you had once asked me, it was at your event, what would you do? And I think you asked me this on your podcast too. What would you do if you had to start all over again?
Mm.
And it's such a profound question, because there's many times that what worked before doesn't work now, and it feels like a start over. It feels like but more importantly, you know, when you have that reset, restart, even if it's I'm thinking negative thoughts, or I don't think I'm good enough, or things don't work out for me, or whatever, you know, I'm frustrated with, I'm pushing against something. The minute you can bring in compassion to yourself, you know, call in your soul, feel your soul's light all around you. When you can change your perspective from what pushing against the problem to feeling this is going to work out, this is going to be okay. You know what? My bills always get paid. My company always seems to have the perfect amount of people that come into the blah, blah. You know, when you're in that place of being able to not believe those negative thoughts and not be taken away from it, but be able to hear them and to be present with them, and then choose something deliberately. Every moment's a reset. And that's how you reprogram your life and create something totally new. It's in those moments when you hear yourself saying, oh, I can't do this, or how am I going to do that? I have no idea how to do this. How am I going to do it? Right. Any of that, those negative thoughts, to be able to take a pause with them and to neutralize them with compassion. It's almost like I give myself compassion for even having that thought. That way I'm coming into a neutral place, and now I have ability to choose what other energy I want to feel or experience or bring in, but not when I'm in survival mode. When you're in survival mode and you're fight, flight, freeze, there is no choice. There's reaction.
It was cute. Yesterday, I went to brunch with my husband E, and we were sitting. The restaurant was very crowded. And we were sitting at the bar, and the bartender says, "You know, it's interesting. I always thought I was a fight girl, but I'm a freeze girl." And I just figured this out because something happened yesterday. She goes in this long story, and she thought normally I would go out and I'd be fighting. She's like, I just froze. and it was just the funniest thing. I've never thought about like identifying fight, flight, like what are you and what have you done in those situations? And it was we all have to be willing to, we think we're one thing sometimes, and then we find out we're something else. And I do want to add, there is a means to my crazy stories here. When I think about you had the decision to go from kind of being that the normal, what we were perceiving normal girl, to the other side of woo. You went really far in, and you had to, and I remember, like I said, that last podcast that we were together, and you were just like, I have to make a very abrupt decision. Can you share with us, what was that like for you? And when people are out there saying, oh my gosh, I'm frozen right now because I don't know what I should do next, and leaning into what you were able to lean into to help make a very important decision in your life.
Yeah. So I'll just say this as a practical thing and a gift to give all of you, because this is life-changing. And good thing I'm wearing a ponytail today. For demonstration purposes, for those who are watching on video. For those of you that are just listening on the podcast, right at the back of your head and neck, like where your neck and your spine come together, there's an indentation in that area. And in that area is a really important energy valve. So like if you were to put your finger there and then put your head back and squish your finger right in there. So let me just say this, because I thought this was the cutest thing ever. I was talking on a podcast about how we have a valve, release valve, and someone went looking for it. So it's an imaginary. It's not, we don't actually have a valve. I just thought that was so cute. She's like,
you do not turn it and it just comes out.
Right. She's like, I'm looking for it. I can't find it. I thought it was precious. But so yes, it's imaginary. It's an energy center, like the other chakras that we have. Yeah. We don't see them, right? So it's like that. It's the back of the head and neck. And when you turn it on, just imagine like you're opening it or you're like turning it on. the energy at the back of the head and at the back of the brain can start to release. Because if this is like in high alert, if this is filled,
Yeah.
right there, you're going to be coming from fight, flight, freeze, you're becoming from reaction instead of a response. So opening up the back of the head and neck helps release the pressure. This is great also if you feel nauseous, if you have headaches, migraines. This heals migraines.
Mm.
But that feeling of like you're spiraling and you're just spinning, ask me how I know, right? Like that feeling of I just can't make a decision, I'm so confused, like all of that fogginess. If you open up, just imagine opening it up, and if nothing's happening, imagine that it's getting bigger and that energy can flow out, and just imagine that any tightness, and you can even just direct your body that any part that's hanging on to that's going to help the energy move. And then what you want to bring in is like, imagine you're under a waterfall of light and letting light just pour down through the top of your head. This moves, this gets stuff moving, which will help open up the other centers, which is like an insight, guidance, but you can't, again, if you're like listening to music really, really loud, like my 16-year-old when he drives into the parking, the driveway, we can hear the thumping of the music. And we're like, even though our neighbors are very spread out, still, it's that thumping of the music and we can hear him. Right. So that you can't hear anything if it's so loud in here. So that process will help release that out. So it helps quiets the mind. It's kind of like the other opposite, because you're talking about this too, right? It's like the other opposite part is the emotions, right? The emotional body, the lower dantian, like the lower belly part, where that's where our emotional body is. And so if we're feeling heightened emotions, right, it's because like our tank is full. Think of our emotional tank is full, and we want to release it, or at least let the energy inside of there be neutral, like I'm content,
Well, I love your idea of waterfall of light. That's so good.
It's powerful.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
And you can kind of turn up the waterfall and turn it down. You can have it be like that really powerful one that if you need a really good cleanse,
Yep.
or you can have it be like, a trickle, because you're like, yeah, I just need, I'm there, but I need a little bit reminder.
So
Okay.
real quick, Hilary, take that idea of that.
Yeah.
Now imagine you can put color to it, and each color can represent a feeling, a sense. Or if you don't like the color, just even imagining like a string on a guitar, you play it and it plays a different sound, right? So now that you're feeling like that waterfall, it's like now you can choose, I want a waterfall of peace. I want a waterfall of love. I want a waterfall of well-being or vitality. Like that feeling you're being filled with that particular energy. And now where's your focus? Are you focused on your contrast, your problem, your issue? Or are you focused on being filled up with this fantastic energy and feeling good?
What you focus on grows. That was so good. I literally am filled up right now. I've loved this conversation. You are terrific.
I love you.
I will never forget looking at you at the event. I remember when you first walked in, you sat down, it was the table right in front of me, and you just lit up. And I was like watching you, because even though you're on stage, at least I am, I'm very, very consciously aware of like how the energy, and it's almost like, I mean, it's crazy enough. But hey, I'm crazy. I can see the waves of like you said, the color, and feel like, okay, this is vibing out there. This is so good. This is impacting. And I will never forget you and your smile. And then the very next day when you walked into the filming of the movie and you were dressed up, and it was just this like vibrant, was it a purple?
Purple, yes.
Oh my God. I don't know where you just came into my mind, and this like purple essence came in, and it was just gorgeous. And I was just, there it is again. There's that same, because I have goosebumps right now. You have this ability to just really impact the people around you. And I was so grateful that you were in the room, because you added so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I was happy to be included. And you know what's really cool? the folks that you have as your design team, very cool people, right? They took a picture of me outside because I was wearing a St. John knit suit and I had some pretty cool purple heels on too. I'm all about the shoes. And sorry. But so they took a
all good.
right.
Never
No,
be
I
sorry
know.
for
I know
that.
I'm with the right crowd here. I've seen your shoes, girl. So I know I'm talking. I'm preaching to the choir here. But they took a picture of me and I posted it, and St. John Knit connected with me over Instagram and ran it as part of their story.
How cool is that?
Isn't that awesome? There was a picture of Meghan Markle wearing a top, or their white top, and then after that there was me standing there at that house.
So great.
Yeah. So
that
there you go. My claim to fame.
That is awesome. Well, you'll have to wear those shoes again at the premiere that we're having. Well, listen, it was a pleasure having you on again for the second time. And thank you for always just bringing you and your honesty around some of these things that I really believe there is a new heightened awareness around what is starting to come out from tapping into your intuition, being able to trust your wise woman, your counsel, because we grew up with that, like, no, this is logical. That's not. Where, why can't we have it all? And I often say, who knew woo could be so good for you? Because it really, when you trust in the divine and you trust in some of the things that we can't see, just like, law of gravity, can't see it, but we're not floating up. So again, what a pleasure, Christy. Thank you for being here. Everybody go out, get that book, The Flow Factor, her most recent, or one of the others that she's written. And Christy, how can they get in touch with you?
I'd love for you to go to watchyourwords.com. It's a program that'll help you change your words, which will help you change your state, which will help you change your results in your life. So it's called watchyourwords.com. There are videos to tell you what not to say, why, and what to say instead, so that you're vibing high with your language, because your words make your thoughts, and your thoughts make beliefs, and your beliefs make your actions, and actions lead to the results. And it all starts with words. So you can go to right? So watchyourwords.com, or you can go to christywhitman.com.
Amazing. Thank you again. And for everyone out there listening, think about what we just talked about. Go back, listen. Who can you share this with? Who else needed to hear this? And watch your words. Is that not the truth? Go check that out. Make sure that what you are thinking and what you are saying is in alignment for what you want to relaunch right now into your life. We'll see you again next week. Take care.